Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Behind the Wrestler, my episode that I am very, very delayed on. So, first of all, apologies. Second of all, my guest at this time is none other than the man himself. He's one half of Knights of Mayhem, and it is Danny Octane.
Thank you very much for taking the time to sit down with us, and really excited for what's come.
Thank you very much for giving us a time and an inside look of your story, which we will get to your tag partner later on. So the very first question that you've probably been asked, and you're probably going to be asked multiple times in the near future: who, when, and where inspired you to become a professional wrestler, and how did you go about it?
So it takes you back to the younger days. Probably about 2003 when I started watching wrestling content, so WWE, Monday Night Raw, which in New Zealand was probably on Sky One on a Saturday morning. At the time, I really liked the drama behind it all. So before I got to see all the wrestling content, just all the stories they packed around, and one of the best in my mind was Randy Orton.
Right.
So that was about the time when he was sort of in evolution and started break out on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really liked the theatric behind that. And I guess that inspired me to look at more content and just keep following it as a sport.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see some of the athletes that sort of come out of pro wrestling, like WWE was Antonio Cesaro.
Mm-hmm.
Big athlete himself. And then you start looking at more the smaller guys. So you try and find a wrestler that you can relate with.
Right.
Guys would have been like AJ Styles when he came through the indies scene with TNA. And at the time when I was watching all this, I was in a small town in the Hawke's Bay, New Zealand.
Right.
And this is before wrestling actually came around to the Hawke's Bay area. So it was always one of those dreams of, I would love to try it out one day, because who wouldn't dare dream of flipping and flying and hitting onto people?
Yeah.
But it just wasn't available. So I guess when I got older, it just became a distant memory at the time. I guess when I finally moved out of home and tried making myself natural going adult, still plodded on, didn't think wrestling would come around. And then I think it was around 2015, 2016 that the old New Zealand company, NZWPW, Martin Sterling run, they were doing a camp in Taupo, because I think they were doing a show there at the time. So I thought, oh, this is close by to me. And plus I looked at their websites for so long and looking at the roster, so seeing the guys like Rough Guts, Roddy Gunn, Adam Avalanche, Ben Munner, Shiny Nick Silver, and Osiris, and of course Axel. Seeing all those guys, I give it a go. Been stuck in the same thing for so long, just try something different. So I got in touch with one of the guys that ran it. I always butchered his name every time, but Tapia, and just sent an email trying to be as professional as possible. Then I met him in person. Complete different story. But at the time it was, have a tryout, see what you can do. And I was like, yeah, keen. And of course I didn't even bother going.
Right.
But hindsight, I think the Taupo show ended up being cancelled or something like that. But that was a motivator to think, maybe I'm stuck in my ways at the moment here in the Hawke's Bay area. So maybe move to Wellington, see what I can do there. There's a lot of personal stuff behind the scenes that was going on to motivate the move. But then I moved to Wellington in 2017, and I guess been there for just over 3 years now. Still did a training with WPW back when they were in Wainui in an old abandoned warehouse. Went there, and then they did a training in Petonia where the green mats were. And I guess it just really got interested in it, not just on the athletic side of it, but also the camaraderie, like who you got to know, making lifelong friends. And yeah, just really stuck to it, and look at us now.
Yeah, and like I remember, when WPW was still around, and I used to come down there, record all of their shows and wrestle for them now. Like when I wasn't on my recovery year, and I remember meeting you and seeing your first glimpse, and you getting your first taste of being inside the ring, basically just getting the hell beaten out of you.
That
And
still keeps that's still a story that comes up even to this day.
yeah, and then like you went in there and you were nervous as hell, but then when you got in there, I assume adrenaline kicks in, and it just feels like second nature.
So that was WPW and Naya, if that's one you're
Yes,
thinking.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, so a bit of context with that. That was when Axel was WPW champion,
yes.
and it just declared an open challenge with
Mm,
him and the Dreamcatcher. And just at the time, I was still running the cameras, or basically being ring boy at the time,
right.
and just thought it was be my chance. I was like, all right, give this a go.
Yeah.
And just the spot that we did, just that choke slam that everyone in the back was like, oh geez, I thought you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Still brought up to this day, so Axel's still proud of it. I'm still proud of it, because when you work, it's like, make that look good.
Yeah. Definitely.
And the fact that he almost lost control of me at the top of the choke slam,
Mm,
because he had that broken hand at the time.
he did. Yeah.
So went up for it. I think I jumped too high for him and almost botched it straight off the bat. But in the end, it was really good still photo opportunity, and just came down like a ton of bricks, really.
Yeah. But like you getting that opportunity, and just willingly opened, and you just want to soak everything in, and you just want to learn, and you want to improve, and you just want to get better. So I remember when I first met you, you were the guy who was there setting up the ring. You're still one of the guys who does that now. You were there setting up the ring, you were there taking the rings down, you were at training, you were just busting your ass day in and day out to trying to get to the position where you are now. And it's all based on hard work. And everybody else realized that, your previous trainers realized that your current tag team partner that you're with, who is one of your trainers, and has taught you so much and taken you under his wing. When you walked into your first training session, what were you expecting, and how did you prepare yourself to basically get yourself ready of like, okay, I'm actually going to go and do this?
So as mentioned before, it was just an old abandoned warehouse in Wainuiomata.
Mhm.
Coincidentally enough, my first night was the same night that another debutant came along as well. For the people that know, Jaden Beetham, or Jaden Storm.
Mm.
It was both our first time going there, which we didn't realize till later on. But when you think, oh, I'm going into a professional sporting environment, hypothetically speaking,
Right.
you're just like, all right, be professional as possible, be open to anything. But as soon as I got in there, you had the likes of Jade Priest and Chad Howard wrestling each other in the ring. You had Martin Sterling high on his throne with his stick, of course. And the first people I met there was Axel and person who came to be Cam Owens III. And considering it was two guys that were first training in, it was just, right, let's get into the fundamentals of locking up and maybe a little bit of chain wrestling to start with as well. I think at the time, because they were building up towards a show in Nai later that month or the month after, it was a case of, Chad Howard and Jade Priest, go do your thing in the ring while Mom watches, and Axel and Cam Owens just take care of the rookies at the time. Right. And would be mulling along doing their own thing, having talks, and then you get Martin Sterling just bashing down that stick, just going, "No, you're not doing it right.
Yeah,
you gotta do this, gotta do that." And pretty much at the end, every sentence was, "Pay your fees."
Yeah. Yeah.
It was pretty much that the whole time. It almost got to the case, an hour in, and he was just like, if you guys aren't going to show up, we're just going to close this whole place down. Dubby dub done.
Yeah.
And here I'm just going, what have I put myself into? um, but as we got on, eventually we moved from Wainui to Petone,
Yeah.
down Jackson Street. It was just a small hall. And then you had the guys like Paul Sayers and Shane Sinclair
Mm-hmm.
doing some trainings every now and again on the green mats.
Yeah.
Really good as well. Especially because you just get a lot of different people just giving you different insights into professional wrestling, and how one thing you learn from one trainer is something different to another. And they just say at the end of the day, find your perfect medium, like find what's best for you, rather than just saying to another trainer, oh, but this trainer said. And it's like, nah.
Yeah.
Try and find your, be open to everything, as you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
open and find what is good for your character and something that you can do competently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, as I said right at the start, like a lot of the guys that you get to meet and hang out with more, that's what made me stick around. And plus, all the behind the scenes stuff, like how to set up a ring or how to take the perfect angle for videos or camera shots, and just being one of the guys, really.
Yeah.
That was one thing that really kept me around.
Yeah. And like you doing all of that stuff, people get those opportunities and they think, I want to be a wrestler, but I don't want to do all this extra stuff. And some people don't understand that that's part of being a wrestler. You doing all the camera stuff and setting up the ring and stuff, it's all part of the job. The wrestling side of it is just the fun side. So you setting up a ring and doing all those camera work and doing all those shots and just being close up, you probably learned so much of in-ring positioning and where to be, where not to be, your footwork, your how to read the crowd, how to work a crowd and different crowds in different towns and different environments and stuff. And you can see which wrestler, when you're doing camera work and stuff, you can see which performer is, and wrestlers are doing an amazing job, and some of the ones who are not, so like, I'm just there to hit my stuff and not really there to work the crowd and stuff. But you doing all of that stuff and getting the opportunity to officially be on shows and getting the opportunity to have a couple of single matches under your belt, how did that come about, and how did you prepare yourself, and how did you develop your character for your debut match?
I would pretty much say that the character work never stops learning. Like you'll never be fully complete with the character. Like
Right.
I would say that I'm still learning to go. Like wrestling years, I'm very young into it. So like everyone else should be open to change, not just thinking this is my character, this is my narrow path, and just being tunnel vision to what you want.
Yeah.
Right at the start, like I feel like those are the values that every rookie or trainee should have at the start. So doing the ring, like learning how to set it up, doing all those camera works, doing all the photos, just helping out. As you said, it helps develop on the early stages, but of course, it's all different story once you go into the ring. Like you just
Right.
get that sudden shock, so you have to be ready for it. Coming into my first match, I was fortunate enough, after the Axel one,
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be in the ring for WP in a fatal four-way with myself, Jaden Storm, Ty Cade, and Hayden Thiel. Just a fatal four-way, just get us into it. Just prepared wise, I guess like anyone, just try to get the gear that I could. At the time, it was just, I wasn't in the right price range for custom gear, so it was just anything off E-Lucha or High Spots, whatever you can. Of course, everyone would question you. It's like, what are you going to wear? Like, are you going to wear longs or shorts, or are you going to wear a t-shirt or a singlet? And I just thought, nah, you got to you got to try and show off a bit of something, like rather than just being a singlet and shorts. You got to actually dress for the occasion. So it's just long black trunks at the time. Sadly, still got them to this day. Of course, got custom gear in the meantime.
Yeah.
But also, just as a way to treat myself and like try and get into my character, I actually did make a custom shirt, just something you make on Photoshop, just as a design. It's like, yeah, this is great. This is going to look excellent.
Yeah.
Looking back on now, absolute garbage. And you wore that in the rain. Didn't go for anything spectacular, just straight black, because to me it looks slimming, so for photo purposes only. But that match was really action packed. It was one of those, when the adrenaline gets pumping, as you know, Kartik, it just, everything just goes.
Yeah,
like
just
you
goes.
go from 0 to 100 immediately.
Yeah.
And that was especially in the first standoff with me and Hayden. Just having the first trade-off in the match, we're just doing a couple of strikes back and forth, but I take the first strike, he strikes back, and instead of moving my face, it just connects straight knuckle into the lip.
Oh.
So first strike in professional wrestling, busted lip.
Yeah.
It's like, on my fault, 100%. But it's like, god damn,
Yeah.
just every single time.
Yeah.
I think then that result, it was Hayden pinfall on Taikei.
Yeah.
So really good event first time round, and yeah, continuing to learn from there and just carrying on learning every single time you get in that ring.
And like getting a couple of, you know, single matches underneath your belt, and then moving on, and someone taking you under their wing and was like, you know what, I want to do a tag team thing, and then the person I'm going to choose is going to be one of my trainees, and he ended up choosing you. Going, like, how did you and Rough Guts Roddy Gun, you know, form the tag team that you guys have now, and the matches that you guys have had are like amazing, and the SPW opportunities that you guys have had as well. How did that come about, and how did you prepare yourself to be taken under the wing of Rough Guts?
So when me and Rough Guts first met, like, truth be told, I was scared shitless of him. Like anyone else that first meets him, you just think this is one imposing figure. Best not mess around with him.
Yeah.
One of the first interactions that we had was after the Petone trainings, where we took the ring back to Martin Sterling's place back in Wainuiamata. We were just doing our normal trainings, went for about an hour and a half. In the meantime, you had the likes of Taikade, Hayden, Jade Beast, and Rough Guts just standing on the balcony, just looking over at the trainees, just doing their thing, going for a training, I think, with either Shane or Axel at the time. And then, yeah, those guys on the balcony did not even come into the ring at all during that training. And an hour and a half later, training finished. I was just about getting out of the ring. Rough Guts immediately rushes in, grabs by the waist, German suplex.
Oh.
Point to note, I'd never taken a German suplex prior to that.
Yeah.
All I knew was tuck your chin.
Yeah.
Tuck your chin and bump.
Yeah.
And then it was just, yeah, bump and sell that. I was like, all right, got to try and impress the guy. And latches on, another German suplex. It's like, god damn, I didn't even know this guy. Didn't even take me out for drinks first. And he's just throwing me around like this.
Right.
That was 10 consecutive German suplexes in a row. I'm just bumping and feeding, selling. And after the 10, he just gets out of the ring. I'm just there, it's like, everyone's in still shock at the balcony, all the trainees. Here I am just going, the fuck was that? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Seriously. Just comes in and just throws me around and buggers off. And then we kind of were on speaking terms, but still at the time I was like, this guy's just someone I just do not want to mess with.
Right.
And then one day, just random message on Facebook. It's like, you and me, we're going up to Auckland this weekend as a tag team. And here I am just like, okay, do I have to buy my own flights? No, I've already bought them for us. Okay, we're doing that. Yeah, sure. Let's get into this. And
Yeah.
he was like, oh, what names do you think we can go with? And I was like, open. So I was like, all right, here's some ideas I'm thinking of on the spot. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, Night to Mayhem. I was like, firstly, that sounds a bit weird. Like, is there context behind it? Because otherwise, it's like, oh, look at me, I'm a knight. Am I in shining armor or something? And then I found out the backstory behind the Mayhem part,
Right.
which is a nice adage to Project Mayhem that he
Yeah.
had with Niwa and James Shaw when they were all a group. So I was
Yes.
like, that's kind of cool. Like, I'd like to be in the same category as
Mhm.
those names, because look where they are now with
Yeah.
Niwa and James Shaw and
Mhm.
Rough Guts especially.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like, and he was like, don't worry, mate, we'll make something out of this, and showed me like old school photos of him and Niwa, probably 2015 photos of those two with belts. He's like, we're going to go places, mate.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let's dive into this hole, see how far we can go.
Yeah.
Next, it's been really, really cool to hang out with him. Like, I guess you can say we're just travel buddies now, like pretty much flying, staying in the same accommodations as each other. Now that we've got Sabrina along with us, so there's the three of us.
Yeah.
The oftentimes that the partners come along as well, so it's almost a great weekend out sometimes.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, we've done pretty much majority of the companies in New Zealand.
Yeah.
And that's something I really am proud of. Like, yeah, there's a couple of companies I'd still like to try and work for, and hopefully the opportunity's there. But just really happy to do the likes of Impact, Valiant Pro, and hopefully now SPW. Hopefully we can do that on the regular, and of course do the likes of Maniacs, Hughes Academy, PWE, and other companies around New Zealand.
And like, you know, everybody is very, very intimidated at first when they see Rough Guts, but once you get to know him, he's a very, very lovely, lovely human being. And
100%.
yeah.
Like, one of the things I had at the time was just when I tried getting along with some of the guys, it was like, all right, find a common ground with this guy. And we just really got into gym work, sports science, because I'd done study for about 4 years in it, and Rough Guts at the time was going through it. So it was like, we can actually go really deep into this. And yeah, still to this day, we could have a full-on discussion just about sports science, or like knee flexion and mobility. It's like, yeah, random stuff, but you got to have that common ground with someone that you're really close with.
Yeah. And like getting like you said, you know, getting to know him and getting like becoming travel buddies now and getting to go all these places and get all these opportunities and stuff. Getting you know, the opportunity to be, you know, it's a very, very rare opportunity that trainees get to either wrestle their trainers on a continuously basis, or even get to partner up with them. And getting the opportunity to do that, and you being taken under the wing, how did it help you grow as a you know, as a professional wrestler from where you started, you know, before your debut matches and single matches, being very, 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 very nervous, being a scared little kid in the corner in the locker rooms, and to having this confidence in you now, and being able to be in the locker room with a locker room leader. So like, how did all of that affect you and help you grow as a wrestler?
To be honest, pairing up with Rough Guts is probably the best thing that's happened for me, wrestling professional wise. I know before pairing up with yeah, it was one of those, I have no idea about match structure. Yeah, sure, I know all about the 4 phases of putting a match together, but zero idea on what to do specifically.
Right.
And I would highly recommend a lot of people to have that opportunity to buddy up with a trainer.
Mm-hmm.
I know with the likes of Cam Owens, he and Chad Howard have become prestige and having a
Yeah.
similar trip.
Mm-hmm.
With myself and Rough Guts, yeah, personally learning a lot more match structure, and having another person for feedback as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course you want to learn about do different spots. Like you just don't want to be a spot monkey a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise it's not doesn't make sense for match structure sense.
Right.
Um, so having someone there you can rebound ideas off, just opening this skit you can go along with.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're like, nah, that sounds rubbish, or you should swap out that and do this instead to make sense. It was really great to have. Of course, still learning to this day. Everyone's still learning in this industry.
Right.
Um, it's yeah, one of the best things to do to have that idea board just to bounce off. And yeah, I guess there's a lot of confidence and match structure now pairing up with him. I guess over 2 years now, or close to.
Yeah, you guys have been together for a
Um,
very long time.
yeah, right.
Mm.
We still remember our debut match, and the fact that we've gone this far so far has been fantastic.
Yeah.
And even having what I personally like is just like go-to set plays
Mm-hmm.
for matches. So you've got this double team move that works perfect. It's like cool, we can add that in.
Mm-hmm.
And just having more ideas like that has sort of instilled confidence in myself to think of individual stuff that I can do in the match. So, for example, stuff during when we take over in the heat, just stuff like, well, I know this works, so let's use this set play.
Right.
It just makes life a lot easier. So make it a lot simple so I can focus a bit more on character wise and just being that energetic, crazy son of a gun. Because yeah, getting a lot more personality time instead of having to think, I've got to think of this spot, then this spot, then this spot,
Mm-hmm.
and just thinking more on character feels so much better.
Right. And like, getting the opportunities that you guys have gotten now, is there anybody that you would like to face that you haven't faced before? And what would you guys like to achieve as a tag team? And what is your individual goal as a professional wrestler? What would you like to achieve as a professional wrestler?
Yeah, there's been a lot of fantasy booking that's gone around lately.
Right.
For Night to Mayhem. Um, I would like to say that would be open to most tag teams in New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having us together, we just wanted to try and make tag team wrestling relevant in New Zealand.
Right.
Rather than just two odd people just thrown in together.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why we got matching gear, right?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we're just finished being at SPW facing the Mega Powers, which was a great experience to have.
Right.
Of course, there's guys like Prestige, Mana Lanch, if Detention ever got back together, guys like those that would be able to face. And yeah, really, I think we're just open to most tag teams in New Zealand. Like we could even come down to face Bad Bromads. And it's on tip of my tongue. Fashion and Passion.
Right.
Guys like that. Of course, the overall goal is like anyone wants championships, right?
Right.
We want to have a bit of gold around our waist.
Yeah.
We unfortunately haven't yet. But it's something that we've always wanted right from day one.
Right.
And perfection does take time, of course.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's just, get to that point of being able to wrestle continuously.
Mm-hmm.
Focus. I'm not really looking long term at the moment, so thinking more just get New Zealand professional wrestling up, because I feel like there should be more eyes on the product here, let alone going overseas.
Yeah.
Because there's heaps of good companies in New Zealand. We've had the pleasure of being part of some of these companies, and would really like to see more people, focus on New Zealand professional wrestling.
Right.
Look at all the stories around New Zealand professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I just want to try and make it big in New Zealand. If I get the opportunity to go overseas, that's a bonus.
Right. And all the achievements and goals that you've set up for yourself, have you accomplished them? And obviously you do have bigger goals now, and I know Knights of Mayhem eventually will be tag team champions for someone at some point in time. It's just the right moment, the right timing, the right structure, and the right story. But until that happens, I know you guys will continue to do what you guys are doing now and just dominate. And the matches that you guys have, you guys have such a good chemistry, and that's really rare to see in a tag team, that you guys are so in sync of like, you guys don't even need to talk to each other, but you could just look at each other and be like, yeah, we're going to go for this, or like, it's time for this, or we'll do this. And like, you could just, it's really hard to have that chemistry with someone, but it's also a very hard skill to have as a tag team as well. So like, you two having that skill, and Rough Guts having so much knowledge and experience over the years, helps with that as well. So like, getting things into place, and COVID kind of doesn't help with that, but things will get better. But like, eventually when you guys do get the opportunity to wrestle for any tag team championships and win them, it will be very, very well deserved, because you guys have busted your ass for the last 2 years as a team. Because mostly here in New Zealand, teams are only formed maybe together maybe 6 months if you're lucky, and then they break up and start doing their singles thing. But you two have just continued to do and stay as a tag team, even if you get one-on-one opportunities other places as well.
100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, you just want to make New Zealand tag team wrestling relevant.
Right.
And of course, you've got different dynamics with Rough Guts and myself. So you've got Rough Guts, big, imposing person, really strong powerhouse bloke. And then you got myself, basically little, fast, snappy, and just loads of energy to bounce off of a powerhouse like Rough Guts. That's what I think's gotten us as far as we've gone so far. Just having that dynamic, matching gear, of course, which is always a bonus. But you are right, 100%, that storyline wise, for some tag teams, they're formed, they have good chemistry at the start, maybe fall away after a while, and then just go to single rivalry for the next 6 months. With me and Rough Guts, been together close to 2 years. We've had our singles match. We thought it was a really, really good one. Really tore the house down in that one, because it was a nice mixture, emotionally driven, because we've been together for so long. But we just needed to just beat the daylights out of each other, and then just carry on. And we've gotten so much better for it. Of course, we're probably going to have one-on-ones again at some stage. It's still part tag team wrestling. Like, similar to family, you got to have your just dust off just to settle down, and then you can move on from it. Not in the professional wrestling sense, of course. But it'll be really awesome just to keep going to all the companies around New Zealand, make it relevant, and bring up the tag team element, because we've been together for so long. Hope the other teams can do as well, and see how far we can get.
Is there anything that you would like to say to anyone who's going to see this episode, or any advice you would like to pass on?
Definitely, as we said at the start, when you first start out as a trainee, don't just think, oh, I'm going to get in the wrestling ring, that's it. You got to know how that ring is constructed. You got to know how it looks underneath. Do the camera work, do all the hard manual labor. Like, with a lot of trainees that I see now, they start quitting once they get to the bumping stage. Like, admittingly, no one likes taking a bump, because it sucks. The human body's not designed to fall on its back. honestly, once you go through that bumping stage, everything feels good after that. Like, and take advice from as many trainers as possible, man. Like, don't just be narrow-minded, be open to all trainers. Like, I remember when I first started, I was listening in depth with you, Kartik.
Right.
I still remember those huge shows that you led, and taking advice from yourself. I mean,
Mhm.
we haven't even been in the ring before, Kartik, so there's fantasy booking right there.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but of course, listen to the trainers, be open-minded, and just do the work. Really, do the work, and it'll get there one day. And
Mhm.
don't stop training. Like, if there's training facilities close by, go to them. Like,
Mhm.
even if you're in another town, go to them. Like, personally, I moved different regions just to try training in a facility. Even if it was an old abandoned warehouse in Wainui, still did it, and yeah, it turns out better from there.
Yeah. Um, Thank you very much for taking the time and, giving us an insight of your story. And I'm very, very um, excited to see what the future holds for yourself as a singles wrestler, as a tag team wrestler, and for your team with Rough Guts Body Gun as well.
Thank you very much for having me on, and yeah, really hope we get to see each other sooner rather than later instead of Zoom calls.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody, and I will catch everybody on the next episode of Behind the Wrestler. Thank you again to my guest, Danny Octane, one member of Knights of Mayhem against Rough Guts Roddy Gunn and future tag team champions. Thank you very much, everybody, and I'll catch everybody at the next one.